Welcome back. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Calgary Flames. The Flames falling on a little bit of hard times right now. And we are expecting the Flames to be towards the bottom of the division this coming season rather than the top. Although, while that's the expectation, I don't think this team is as bad as people seem to think it's going to be. I know they missed the playoffs by a bunch. I don't think they're that bad. So I'm not going to predict playoffs, but I think they may end up staying in the hunt maybe a little bit longer than expected. At any rate, we go back to 2014-2015 up until now for the stats. And your leading scorer for the Calgary Flames from 2014-15 until now is Johnny Gaudreau. 601 games played, 209 goals, 399 assists, 608 points. Michael Backlund, 744 games played, 159 goals, 271 assists for 430 points. He is, of course, still there. Sean Monahan, 581 games, 190 goals, 230 assists, 428 points for Monahan. Matthew Tkachuk, 431 games, 152 goals, 230 assists, 382 points. And then you get to Elias Lindholm, 418 games, 148 goals, 209 assists, 357 points. So one thing that's tough for the Flames is the fact that 4 of the top 5 are players who moved on from this franchise. Rather than sticking around and losing those 4 core guys, big part of the reason why this team's in the mess they're in right now. Then you have Mark Giordano, 500 games exactly, 88 goals, 227 assists, 312 points. Andrew Mangiapane, who has now moved on as well, 417 games, 109 goals, 106 assists, 215 points. TJ Brody, 449 games, 40 goals, 167 assists, 207 points. Rasmus Andersson, 455 games, 36 goals, 164 assists for 200 points even. And Noah Hanifin, 420 games played, 42 goals, 149 assists, 191 points. So most of those top 10 scorers are no longer with the team. And this is something that Calgary's going to have to work with, is making sure these young players that are coming up are going to be taken care of. But this is also a team that needs, I think, some more prime prospects. So we'll see whether or not the Flames end up drafting in the top 5 in 2025, but I think they need one of those kinds of prospects. In goal, again, from 2014-15 until now, Jacob Markstrom leads the way with 105 wins, a record of 105, 78, and 25. David Riddick, second on the list, 63, 39, and 15. He was very good for Calgary through most of his time there. Mike Smith, 48, 38, and 8 record. Jonas Hiller, 35, 30, and 5 record. And Dan Vladar, 35, 21, and 9. And the question becomes one of how many starts will Vladar get this season? Will Wolf and Vladar split the net 50-50? Will Vladar get the lion's share of starts? And it is part of the reason why, when we're talking about the expectations for this team, they're relatively low. So looking at the last 5 seasons, points percentage-wise, 18th in the league at a 563 points percentage. Goal scoring, right around middle of the league, 15th at a 3.12 goals scored per game, 13th in goals against per game at 2.94. On the power play, 17th in the NHL with 20% even. On the penalty kill, 3rd, 81.9%. So the Flames' penalty killing's been excellent over that period in time, but we'll see if that holds up this season as well. Although this past season, their penalty kill was good. So their points percentage in 2023-2024 was 24th in the league at 494. Goals for 3.09, 19th, but it's right around their average for that 5 years. Goals against per game dropped 3.28, so they dropped down to 23rd in the National Hockey League. That's definitely an issue. More reflective of the defense than the goaltending, I think. Power play was 26th this past season at 17.9%. The penalty kill, again, 9th in the league at 80.8%. We'll see if it stays there this year. One thing that the Flames have going for them, they have some very good, hard-working forwards. Maybe not the guys who are going to put up 80-plus points offensively, but some hard workers, which should loan itself to some relatively good penalty killing. So Nazem Kadri was the leading scorer for the Flames this past season, 82 games, 29 goals, 48 assists, 77 points. At times this offseason, we've heard his name rumored to be on the move. That will probably continue into the season. There hasn't been any substance to those rumors yet. I think part of it is we've seen how many veteran players have left, and it just feels like, so who's next? And Kadri might be the obvious pick. Sharon Govich, 82 games, 31 goals, 28 assists, 59 points. Really hard worker in New Jersey. Now he's a scorer for Calgary. That should keep up this season. Blake Coleman, when they were successful, Coleman was playing well. 78 games, 30 goals, 24 assists, 54 points. Mackenzie Weegar, 82 games, 20 goals, 32 assists, 52 points. Kind of forgotten that Weegar had a pretty good season offensively because Calgary had as many setbacks as they did. Huberdeau has had many setbacks. So while Weegar's been a good acquisition from Florida, Huberdeau and that contract, just not great. 81 games, 12 goals, 40 assists, 52 points. He needs to be almost double that number of points. I don't know if it's going to work out for Huberdeau on that level. If he has another rough season offensively, does he look for a trade? Do the Flames try to trade him? We'll see. And again, with that contract, that's not going to be easy. Mangiapane, 75 games, 14 goals, 26 assists, 40 points, but he moves on. Backlund, 82 games, 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points. Rasmus Andersson, 78 games, 9 goals, 30 assists, 39 points. Hanifin, 61 games at the time of the trade to Vegas, 11 goals, 24 assists, 35 points. And Connor Zary, 63 games, 14 goals, 20 assists, 34 points. A bright, shining beacon of hope for the Calgary Flames and their fans, in that Zary is a young player who had a pretty solid rookie season. So the rookie watch for this team, I went with Cole Schwindt, who's currently an unsigned restricted free agent, and of course Dustin Wolf. Wolf in goal has an opportunity here if he has a really strong year, and if Calgary surprises some people, maybe he gets into the hunt for a Calder Trophy, which this year we could have a ton of players in the mix for the Calder. It could be a lot. Your top 12 forwards, and I think this is going to be messed with. I think Ryan Huska is going to try various combinations in the preseason, but Jonathan Huberdeau, you kind of have to have him on the first line, don't you? Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman, probably there. Connor Zary on that second line, Sharon Govich probably in the middle, and I think Kuzmenko in a top 6 role in Calgary could score a bunch of goals. There are still those defensive issues with Kuzmenko, but for the Flames, who are going to need those goals, maybe he gets 40 this year for Calgary. He has the ability to do that. We saw that in Vancouver. I think part of the reason he left Vancouver isn't just the back checking. I think Besser putting up those goals that Kuzmenko was the year before made him a little bit expendable. But if he can park himself in front of the net, he could help that power play a lot. And maybe we see more goals from Calgary. Maybe they win a few more games than expected. Martin Pospisil, Nazem Kadri may very well end up in that top 6. Just as a center, if Sharon Govich plays down the middle, Kadri could end up on the third line. That being said, he could end up on the first line. Backlund could be on the third line with Anthony Mantha as well. Mantha picked up in the offseason. Very likely to be a rental at the deadline, but stranger things have happened. Ryan Lomberg returns. Kevin Rooney, Walker Dewar on that fourth line. So for the Flames, this is definitely a team that's not as strong as some of the other teams in the division. And the extras, Clark Bishop, Dryden Hunt, Samuel Honzek, who may very well get into some games for them this year. Matt Coronado. There was a lot of excitement about Coronado not that long ago. Maybe Coronado jumps into a top 6 role at some point this season. But honestly, you might as well keep him with the Wranglers for a bit and just call him up when there's an injury in that top 6. Might be for the best to get him just top 6 minutes wherever you can get him. And if that's with the Wranglers, that's what you do. Martin Firk. So Firk is one of those interesting ones. He's got a great shot. He's a good scorer. Defense has been optional for him. At least that's been the reports on him. But with a name that doesn't have a vowel in it, I'd like to see Firk back in the league. Adam Klapka, who signed an extension with them not long ago, and the aforementioned Cole Schwindt, who was picked up in that trade with Florida for Matthew Tkachuk. So the top 6 defensemen, and this is where things are interesting too, because Miromanov had a good run. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Rasmus Andersson, Mackenzie Weegar should be your top 2 guys. Jake Bean joins the team. Kevin Ball joins the team. You've got Daniil Miromanov. You've also got Joel Hanley coming over. So this is a very revamped blue line. That can make it tough to start the season. You have defensemen in pairings where they don't really know the other player as well. And so it can take a little while. It can be a bit of an adjustment, and that can lead to some more goals in your net. The extras, Braden Pahal, who looked okay after being acquired from Vegas. Jeremy Poirier, and I put Zane Parake up there. I don't think Parake makes the lineup. I think that with the season that Calgary may be about to have, you're better off just keeping Parake and juniors for now. But we'll see what they do come training camp. Your top two goaltenders, as previously mentioned, Dan Vladar, Dustin Wolf. They've also added Devin Cooley, who very likely will be the starter for the Wranglers, unless Wolf has a tough preseason, and then you can keep Cooley around as the backup for Vladar. Again, there's no playoff expectation, so you don't really have to worry about, oh, now we're going to lose some games. So we'll see what they do in net and how Wolf does in the preseason. He looked ready at the end of this past season. I think he's going to be a very good goaltender in the NHL, but you never do know. You just never know. A lot of cap space when it comes to Calgary Flames. $19,199,166, according to Puckpedia. Which, of course, is replace cap friendly. So for people like, where do I get my cap information? Puckpedia has really got themselves up to speed. Just throwing out there. That's what I've been using for my videos and the information. They're definitely structuring the site better with each update. So if you haven't seen it for a while, check it out. The schedule is kind of balanced to start things out. 5 out of 10 at home in October. 7 out of 15 at home in November. December, they have 8 out of 12 at home. So if they have a good record in October and November, it's possible they make some hay in the month of December. February, they have 1 home, 1 away. Then they have 3 at home. The Four Nations Cup takes place, and then they have 1 at home and 2 away from home. So not really a long road trip there. They're at home before the Four Nations Cup and start out at home right after it as well. So not having to worry about travel there, I think, is a benefit. And then in April, they have 5 out of 8 games at home. So this is a Calgary team that I don't think the schedule is going to be a problem for them as long as they're not getting lit up from one game to the next, which, again, with that blue line, it'll be interesting. I like Maramanov. I think he played his best hockey in the National Hockey League after being acquired by the Calgary Flames. We'll see how he does this season. But that's one of those ones that, again, if you're playing fantasy and you're looking for, say, you've got like a really deep league, and by meaning there's a lot of picks and nobody's allowed to pick the same player twice kind of thing. I've been in leagues like that before. Maramanov could be a good late round sort of a gamble for you. The cup odds are odd, plus 17,000. So if the Flames win the cup, and they're not going to, so just don't. Just as a general rule, don't. But anyways, yeah, the Flames not given strong odds, and I think that's absolutely correct. You look at this lineup. Again, hardworking, might be able to keep the score down a little bit if the defense gels right away, but scoring goals at the other end could absolutely be a challenge. The channel vote, it definitely paints a little bit of a bleak picture for anybody hoping that the Flames are going to stay in the hunt for a playoff spot. 2% of the channel voted first or second for the Flames. 8% voted third or fourth. So 10% of the fandom of the channel think that the Flames could end up in the top 4. 90% say no. 50% of the vote said 5th or 6th. 40% of the vote said 7th or 8th. So 40% of the vote felt that either Anaheim or San Jose could absolutely be ahead of Calgary this season. 11,000 plus votes thus far in this one. And I'll be putting up the central voting very quickly on that page or on the community page as well, so that we have a good number of votes by the time I get started with that video. Well, with that video series looking at the Central, that will start on Wednesday. Today being Monday, August 19th. On August 21st, I'll be starting the Central Division. So there you go. The story of the Calgary Flames right now is of a team in flux, and a team that absolutely could be in the midst of a retool. But is it going to be a full-on rebuild? Will Craig Conroy look to move other players? Are we going to see some of the veterans that are in the lineup here moved by the time the season's done? Possibly. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Does Kadri leave the team? Who's going to be left at the end of the season? Might be an interesting question to answer. I don't have that answer, but let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're now 6 teams into the Pacific Division, which means that we have Seattle and Edmonton left. I'm saving Edmonton for last because, of course, we want to see what happens with those offer sheets before I start throwing names on the board and talking about this upcoming season. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.